Okay, welcome back. Happy Friday. I am super excited. This is a long time coming, a red letter day for this channel. I have been wanting to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, on this channel for a very long time. And today we are finally going to be able to do it. And I hope you'll not mind me taking just a few minutes to talk about why I think this is such a big deal. So, this is, in my opinion, one of the greatest arcades of all time. And for ever and a day, ever since I saw this game in the arcades back in, I want to say early 1990, I must have been 6 years old at a putt putt golfing games, at a friend's birthday party. Just absolutely fell in love with this game. We all did. And, ever since then, I've always wanted a physical release of this game. We got the NES port in the early 90s, and I had that game, and I loved it just fine back then. It wasn't as great as, its arcade predecessor, but it was fine for what it was, and I have very fond memories of playing that with friends. But I always hoped that we would get a proper physical release of the arcade game. And then the Super Nintendo came, we got Turtles in Time, and that was great. Genesis got Hyperstone Heist. So the 16-bit era came and went, and we never got the Turtles arcade game its proper due. So, and then in the late 90s and early 2000s, you could emulate it, but that's not what I really wanted. So 2005 rolls around, and the game Battle Nexus, TMNT Battle Nexus comes out for PlayStation 2, and they advertise that they have a port of the arcade tucked away as an unlockable inside the game. And I thought, wow, this is great. Finally, a physical release of the Turtles arcade game. What I've been wanting for ever since I was a kid. So I went out and I bought it, and I had to slog through about 80% of Battle Nexus to unlock it, which is unfortunate because Battle Nexus stunk. That was not a good game. And I was so disappointed. So the voiceovers were gone. The music was gone and replaced with a generic 45-second music loop that just goes on and on and on and repeats throughout the whole game. It is so boring and it does not fit the game. And then to boot, they found a way to mess up the character select. You think you just, turn on the game and pick whoever you want to be, and you would be wrong. What you do is the controller ports are who determine who you get to play as. So player one's controller port is Leonardo. If you want to play as Michelangelo, you plug into controller port two. And I didn't have a multi tap, so Donatello and Raphael were out of the question. So that you know half-hearted attempt at a arcade perfect port, a physical release, just left a sour taste in my mouth. I was so disappointed. And then I want to say 2012 or 2013, very briefly on the Xbox 360 arcade, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game was made available for purchase and download. And I'm talking like only maybe like 2 or 3 months tops. And if you missed it, you missed it. And unfortunately for me, I missed it. I didn't miss The Simpsons and X-Men, and I still have those on my Xbox 360 hard drive, and I do still play them from time to time. But man, did I want Ninja Turtles. And so basically at that point, I had pretty much given up hope that I was ever going to have a proper physical release of the Ninja Turtles arcade game until the Cowabunga collection comes out. I was so excited when I saw this, for $24. I was telling my pal Rockin' Cat Reviews right after I bought it, I said, "Hey, it's got uh, all the tournament fighters, the one on Genesis, the one on Super Nintendo, and also the one on NES. It's got Hyperstone Heist on Genesis. It's got Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo. It's got all three of the Game Boy games. Um, it's got all four of the NES games, including the tournament fighters, and it's also got the arcade versions of the original arcade and the Turtles in Time arcade." And he said, "Wow, for $24, that's a steal." And I told him, it's like, "Listen, I would have paid that $24 just for the original arcade. That's how much I love it and how badly I've wanted to do it on this channel. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, why is this arcade so important to me? I firmly believe, I genuinely believe that this is one of the greatest arcades of all time. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but hear me out. So you had the original arcade games in the mid 1980s, the classics like Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Galaga, Defender, Mario Bros. All those games are great. Not going to take anything away from them. And then after those, I guess you could call it the second gen of games. You started to see them from companies like Taito and Data East, Tecmos, games like Rastan and Superman, RoboCop, Double Dragon, and all those games are really good. Those were all fine arcade games in their own day. But then in 1989, late 1989, early 1990, two games come out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by Konami and Final Fight by Capcom. Both extraordinary beat 'em ups. However, Ninja Turtles is just the Cadillac. It is faster, it is more polished, it is visually gorgeous. It is just that much better. Compare it to the other beat 'em ups. Compare it to Double Dragon in 1987. Compare it to Final Fight in 1989. Those games are a little, especially Double Dragon is certainly sluggish and slow and doesn't sound very good. But even Final Fight is a little sluggish and slow compared to, and not even as colorful when you compare it to the Ninja Turtles arcade. So Ninja Turtles absolutely blows those games away. And, after that, you just saw everyone was doing beat 'em ups. It became the dominant form of arcade game after that. And I guess what made Ninja Turtles so special, it looked just like the cartoon, and it came out at just the right time, right when the cartoon was hot. The team at Konami, they did such a good job with, The Simpsons and X-Men and Ninja Turtles, and they had so little to work with. With The Simpsons, they only had one season, and they still cranked out a really good beat 'em up that a lot of fans still think is the best Simpsons game to date. After all these years and all these attempts at Simpsons games later, that's still the one that comes up. X Men, all they had was the pilot, the 20-minute pilot prior to the X Men, and they came up with a fantastic arcade cabinet. No one remembers the Pride of the X Men pilot, but everyone remembers the arcade. It's kind of astonishing that the arcade is outlasted, sort of outlegacied the cartoon it was based off of. And then you have Ninja Turtles. And it's easy to forget that, maybe you just had to be there, but when Ninja Turtles came onto the scene in the late 1980s, they blew away all their cartoon competitors. They blew away uh, Thundercats, Transformers, G.I. Joe, the real Ghostbusters. None of them could stand up to the Ninja Turtles. They just absolutely took over, and all the boys my age, in the late 80s and early 90s, we forgot all about the real Ghostbusters, and we all, none of us were running around the backyard pretending to be Ghostbusters anymore. We were pretending we were Ninja Turtles. And you had this fantastic arcade game that looked just like the cartoon, and it was a chance. If you were a kid, this was your chance to be your favorite Ninja Turtle, Michelangelo or Leonardo, and to be in the cartoon as your favorite Ninja Turtle, to fight Shredder and Krang. And moreover, it's based off of I think they only had the first season to go off of, and that was perfect because the first season, a lot of Turtles fans will tell you, is the best. That it's 5 episodes that make up one really good story. You get the whole backstory. The villains, Shredder, Krang, Bebop, and Rocksteady, they would become buffoons in after season one, but for the purposes of season one, they were somewhat menacing. They were a threat to be taken seriously. You might uh, you did believe they had ill intentions and they were trying to destroy the turtles. The Technodrome was right there on Earth, roaming free, was a legit threat to taking over the world. You had menacing Shredder and Krang taking hostages, April and Splinter. You had a burning apartment building. I mean, the first season was awesome, and we're all so glad that the arcade game was based off of that. And I think I've talked long enough. 10 minutes. I've hyped this game up, and I think it's time I jumped right in. I guess you just had to be there because the original Ninja Turtles. I will say this: they left out the one thing that they should have left out. They did from the first season. That's the neutrinos. Everything else, Granitor, Trag, the sewers, Roadkill, Rodney, um, the Technodrome. It's all there. This was a chance for kids to be in the cartoon as their favorite Ninja Turtle, saving the world. And for that reason, they just did such a flawless job. This to me will always be one of the greatest arcade games of all time. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to play as Donatello. I'm not an expert at this game. I'm pretty good at it. And man, you saw this intro in the arcade, and it just hypnotized you. It looks just like the cartoon. And I probably just got a copyright strike. And moreover, I mean, look at this. If you were at the mall on a Friday night, the mall arcade, and you had 3 friends with you, you could all 4 play. You could have all 4 Ninja Turtles running around kicking the Foot Clan's butt. It was awesome. So, anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in. Put in a couple bucks worth of credits.
Fire! Hang on, April. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power. Attack!
And at this game, if you're, roughly my age, late 30s, early 40s, whatever, and this game doesn't give you the feels, nothing will. I will say this. So, to do that sweeping jump attack, normally, and you can do it the old-fashioned way in this game, which is to, a very specific input of pressing jump and attack at the same time. But they've also made it a little easier. You can also do it with just the push of a button. They designated one button to also do it. So you can do it the hard way or the easy way. And it is awfully tempting to do it the easy way. See if we can beat Rocksteady without losing a life.
Say your prayers, Turtle.
Oh, sweet. Man, I don't know why I'm not good at the Rocksteady fight. And I will say this about the game. Some of you will know that the further you can go in this game without dying, the harder it gets. I'd like to make it to level 4 without losing a life. So I mentioned that now that we finally have a physical copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is it too much to ask that we get physical releases for some of the other arcade games from back then? Simpsons, X-Men? With this copy, the license came from Nickelodeon, who I believe owns the license to Ninja Turtles right now, which is why their name is on the Cowabunga Collection title screen. The Simpsons is owned by 20th Century Fox, which is currently licensed, owned by Disney. And then X-Men is owned by Marvel, which we all know is property of Disney. So if Disney wants to make a few bucks, please, license the Konami games. The fans love those games.
Keep the time.
Manna from heaven if we could have those. Always love getting that bonus point. And here's where you can tell the game is ramping up in difficulty since I haven't died, because now we're starting to see a lot more foot soldiers.
You are dead. Still playing. They ain't getting any prettier. Watch your mouth, my boy.
Bebop much easier than Rocksteady in my opinion. Okay, not dead yet. Ah. Hate that I died on Bebop. I usually get through Bebop without dying. Now there is a way to beat this level without any risk of getting hurt, but we're not going to do that. You stand right on the ledge right here, and enemies cannot attack you, but we're not going to do that because I think it's cheap. I think it's more fun to play this game the way it was intended. Man, and it is 1989 all over, 1990 all over again. Just love this game.
Keep the time.
Oh, I didn't know you could jump off the wall. Ah. Oh, it's okay. So, I probably should have scabbed the part with Baxter, but whatever.
Come and get him, Yell Brain.
The end of this stage has the Bebop and Rocksteady fight. I am, if I'm bad enough at fighting them one-on-one, you can imagine how awful I am fighting them together.
Pizza time!
Oh, that's the best I've ever done against Bebop and Rocksteady. I guess it makes up for me getting pounded by Baxter.
Let's move it. I owe you one.
If you could make it up to Bebop and Rocksteady without getting killed, they are extremely hard. I was watching a playthrough of someone doing this on a single credit, and holy cow, they take forever to kill.
Do not lose this stuff.
Pizza time!
Oh, that's my cue. Enemy I won't call it sophisticated per se, but it knows not to let you stack them up. It knows to surround you. It knows how to surround you and double team you and cheap shot you. So there is some really fun challenge here. Oh, I usually swat that back. Alright, this level I stink at, so don't hold it against me if I get pummeled. And I know there's a way to scab it. You leave like one foot soldier alive and kind of hang out and dodge. Whenever I play Ninja Turtles or X-Men or The Simpsons, it's gonna sound silly, but I like to imagine how I would have been doing if I was playing this at an arcade. You know, use as few coins as possible.
Hang on, guys!
Not sure how many I would have used by now. 3 or 4. Lost 1 life at Bebop. Couple lives on
Gotta save Splinter.
sewer to Baxter, which I shouldn't have done. Was it 2 lives in the parking garage or just 1? So I probably would have spent a couple of bucks. I will go ahead and admit,
That overgrown corkscrew again.
I am absolutely awful at the Shredder fight.
who's this best?
Keep the time. The turtle. Crush the turtle. Crush the turtle.
A lot of the bosses can be beaten with just a simple stick and move strategy. Stick and move, Max, stick and move. He fakes me out every once in a while. So not having the cleanest run, I wish I was better at this game. It'll take me some practice. Maybe in the future I'll upload me doing a much cleaner run, but in the meanwhile,
my turtle.
this is fine.
There it is.
How appropriate is it that we're going to finish the game with Donatello? He's the one that always solves the problems with, oh, I'll just reverse the polarity of this. And then voila, problem solved. All I have to do is reverse this.
Do not lose this best. I guess you don't realize it until you play it, but this is kind of a short game.
would have, it makes sense why they would have, oh, it was right there. But it makes sense why they added the extra levels.
Pizza time!
Granitor is quick.
Crush the turtle! 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 Crush the turtle!
There we go. Not to make excuses, but the thumbstick I'm playing on does have a little drift on it.
I'm invincible!
Krang a little bit easier than Granitor, in my opinion. Love that they used Krang's theme, you know, from the cartoon. Like, they didn't use it often in the cartoon. It's a little sped up here, I think, but when they did use it, it was always one of my favorite little music ditties from the cartoon. Krang is actually pretty simple. Now, the Shredder fight, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more credits. I'm not very good at fighting Shredder. And admittedly, the Shredder fight is something of a marathon. Whoops. He's the final boss, so he's supposed to be hard. now the strategy is to isolate the other one. Oh, I was just trying to sneak an attack in there. This fight probably would have broken a few joysticks back in the day. Just the amount of rocking you have to do on the stick. Man, I hope his helmet comes off soon. There we go, finally. Not a very clean playthrough, but I'm happy enough with it. I'm just glad we got to do it. Love this ending. Vaporized to milkshake is my favorite. And you actually see the Technodrome destroyed. That's awesome. Maybe I should rename the channel that, Vaporized to Milkshake. So, there it is. So glad we got to do it. Got to finally put the Ninja Turtles arcade. And I'll tell you what, maybe sometime in the future I'll put a nice clean run up. I got plenty of time to get better at it. I don't know that I'll ever be able to do the Shredder run totally clean, but you know, Bebop, Rocksteady, I could be better at them. Same with Granitor and Trag. And I get a warm, fuzzy feeling when I see all the Japanese names in the credits because, you know, say what you will, the Japanese did an outstanding job. You know, whether it was Simpsons, X-Men, Turtles in Time, they were experts. They were the best in the biz. So the Konami team that did the beat-em-ups, that did Simpsons, X-Men, and Ninja Turtles, you know, this was a masterpiece. I'll always be grateful. Oops. Oh well. I got my initials wrong. Doesn't matter. It was not anywhere near close. So. Alright, anyway, that's the Ninja Turtles arcade. That is one of the greatest arcades of all time. It is finally up on this channel. And Turtleathon will continue. TMNT-athon, so stay tuned.